I was wondering what happened with the rant. I was like, wait a rant.
I I did. I started putting together stuff and talking about topics, and I was like, whoa. And if I had had a rant, though, this would have been it. I got to ask people, and I want you guys to comment in the comment section. What do you think about this? And I'm knowing it's going to be just rap. And some of the people are going to feel a certain way, but they are probably not going to share how they feel because they feel like they're going to get all kinds of backlash from it. But what is your opinion about playing off-ball defense in NBA 2K? Now, obviously, we're talking about head-to-head. We're not talking about pro-am style. Because clearly you can't play off. I mean, you can play off ball defense, but it's called a double team, or it's called just not defending at all. So, that's pretty much what that is. So, if you're playing head to head, what is your opinion of off ball defense?
I have no problem whatsoever with off ball defense. None whatsoever. Because it's a competition, and I think the computer is very, very beatable on ball defense in the post and off the dribble and on pick and rolls. I think the optimal way to play is to switch according to the main threat that the offense is trying to provide. And the key is, if you leave the computer to do 100% of the off-ball defense, what you're doing is you're guarding the ball handler who's not the threat, and the computer is guarding the main threat, who's the guy who's trying to get open. And if you need to be able to move to the off-ball situation to shut down people coming off of screens, making cuts, and so on, and running through the offense and so on and so forth. And with our boy Desar's offenses in the game, there's a lot of obstacle course runs that the offense will make. You've got elevator plays, a whole deal, that if you don't shut it down off the ball, they're going to get a wide open shot or a layup. And the CPU defense is not adequate enough to shut down those threats on its own. This isn't a one-on-one basketball game where you're guarding the guy and he's trying to cross you over and go to the basket. That's only true for certain teams. Maybe if you're playing against somebody who's using Milwaukee and it's 5 out and you don't want to guard Giannis, so you leave AI Kawhi on Giannis while you hide in the corner with Brook Lopez. That's a particular situation where it's different. But in most cases, it's not about off ball versus on ball. It's about guarding the head of the spear on offense, which generally isn't the ball handler at the beginning of the play. It's a pick and roll or off ball action that's going to be creating the offense. That's my opinion.
Yep. I would almost 100%. I agree in every situation for the most part. It's a strategy, man. It's a strategy. It's like I hear people say, I don't want to play against off ball. It's like I might as well be playing against a computer. You know what? I put it like this. Nobody would say that if they didn't have a problem with off ball, playing with people who play that. Because if you torched everybody who played off ball, you would never complain about it. You'd love to see it coming. You'd be like, oh, I got him. Because the really, really good players that I've played against, if you try to play 100% off-ball defense on them, they're going to kill you.
Yeah, just kill the computer. The computer one-on-one has very BS defense, all right? The computer overplays on defense in a lot of situations. And what you have to do is you have to play into their overplaying. But the computer wants to be Bruce Bowen. Like, no matter what the situation is. They want to be up on you, guard you at half court, stop you from doing anything. The problem with that is that the computer jumps situations. And all you need to do is to get the computer to do what it wants to do too much. And then you're free to do whatever you want to do. And in this year, it's easier than ever because as soon as someone's behind you, it's not a contest anymore. So,
which is ridiculous, but okay.
Yeah, so get in front of the computer and score. And the computer can't guard the post at all. It's actually very, very bad at guarding the post. So just use the post up player and learn how to do hop fades and spins, and you're fine, and drop steps.
Yeah, I mean, I really, I feel it's just, you know, what bothers me is when people come up with all these unwritten rules,
Yeah.
and like I've literally played, and not for long, for this exact reason, played in my leagues, and people have tried to mandate that you play on ball defense a certain percentage of the time.
Yeah, I've seen
That
it all,
is
man.
the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, dude. I'm like, so you're literally telling me that something that is literally built into the game. It's not a cheat. It's not like I'm using a lag switch, or, you know, every time you go up for a shot, I pause the game or something crazy like that to try to throw off your shot time, and nothing like that I'm doing, right? You're saying that I can't use a strategy. That is the dumbest thing ever. And anybody who really plays effective defense where they utilize some piece of off ball, they don't play 100% off ball defense. What you do is you switch back and forth between on ball and off ball. And you do that to disturb rhythm, because a human defender does play defense different than a computer defender. A computer defender is not going to reach as much as a human defender usually. And so you're able to, if I'm switching back and forth between on ball and off ball, then you may be into middle of a dribble move that you're about to do that you could get away with against the computer. But as soon as I see you hit it, enter into that sequence, I can switch on and swipe at the ball. And a lot of times you'll disrupt, you'll make them hesitate, or you might even get the steal. And it's just about going back and forth. And then when you switch on defense, when you are controlling somebody off ball, who are you controlling? Like, I generally try to control a rotation ahead, right? So if I'm anticipating that you're going to pass the ball to the wing next, I'm going to take control of that guy so I can play passing lanes, so that I can cut a guy off. You know, it's all a strategy, man. It's all a strategy, and the game is all about adjustments. If you can make the proper adjustments to whatever strategy your opponent is using, that just makes you all the more better. And it's ridiculous, man. And honestly, I don't see a lot of people criticizing off-ball defense who really understand the game a lot.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. And, you know, if you watch the show, you know I'm a fighting game guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing you encounter as a fighting game player is quote-unquote cheese. And in fighting games, it works really differently than 2K, because fighting games is very, very, very serious competition.
Mm-hmm.
And when you cry that someone's cheesing you, traditionally, you just lose your turn. And people say you're a scrub and you can't win. And what'll happen is, if you keep watching as the levels raise,
Yes.
see, the cheese only worked against you because you didn't know how to stop it.
Yes.
And there's a player who's better than you that forced the person to change their tactics.
Exactly.
And then they go into this dance of changing tactics until when you watch players who are the absolute best, it actually starts to look a little bit more like players at a lower level, because the other guy is always dangerous. So
Yes.
it becomes this dance of these micro decisions.
Yes.
Now at a low level, it's not micro decisions, it's the lack of knowing what decisions to make. But at the highest level, it's, oh, the reason he did that is because the other guy thought he was going to do this, and the last 3 times, blah, blah, blah. And now he baited him into thinking he would do that and countered at the right moment. If you guys want 2K to become a quote-unquote sim competitive game, you have to cooperate with the game and the competitive community. And you have to become competitive, and you're going to have to learn some things you don't like. You're going to have to experience some things you don't like. You cannot stubbornly refuse everything that you think is cheese. Some of it is stuff that people in the game need to fix on the 2K end. Some of it, I hate to break this to you, is your lack of skill.
Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah. And so until you reach the upper echelon of skill, you're not truly qualified to talk about what needs to be fixed in the game. Because there's 2 ways for the game to be fixed. They can make the perfect video game, which has never been done before, or They can make a video game that allows you to have fair competition. But within that game that allows you to have fair competition, there's going to be levels to it. And at a lower level, something is going to look unfair because it's constantly repeatable. Because in real life, I can't dunk on you 75 times because I'm going to get tired. Eventually, somebody's going to guard the paint and blah, blah, blah. But in video game competition, if you play bad defense, I may shoot 100% from three. The game is not supposed to bail you out and say, well, in real life, you're not playing real life defense yet. So you're not forcing real life numbers out of the game. Yeah. You're not forcing real life percentages out of the game. The game has to have the possibility of complete unrealism. And if you don't get your skill up, you don't get to deny that possibility of lack of realism. The realism comes from the competitors being evenly skilled. Now, once you are evenly skilled competitors, you can say, yeah, this thing is an exploit that is unfixable in the game unless you guys make the game better. And they can react to that. They can't react to it if they can always say, why didn't you just do this? Why didn't you just do that? That's it. You got to compromise and compete. And so I urge you, welcome the cheese, welcome the exploits, win at all costs, not because that's the right way to play, but so you can properly learn the game. Because a lot of times, cheese is counterable, and you can force someone to stop doing it. And if you make them stop doing it, you don't need the developers to take it out of the game because you took it out of the game by forcing the opponent to lose or cheese, or lose or play better. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Yeah. You know, I think the thing of it is that I just don't like, I don't see playing off-ball defense as a cheapening of the game. I think that's the thing. Some people feel like that it's cheapening the game or it's cheapening the experience. And I just don't see that. I mean, if that's the case, why would you accept a CPU steal? Why would you accept a CPU block shot? You weren't controlling the guy when he got that steal. You weren't controlling the guy when he got that block. You know, you weren't controlling the guy when he happened to save the ball from going out of bounds. So why is it an issue if you're not controlling the guy who's actually playing the on-ball defense or what have you? Like, I don't care, man. Like, some people are like, no, it's different if you just go and control the center and just the whole time you just control the center and you let the CP do. So what? If that's what he does, there's got to be a way to beat him, to beat that. Now, if, like Books is saying, if all of those ways have been explored and it's like, oh God, literally there's no way to defeat this, right? We're not talking about double dribble where if you go to the right, there's more spots to hit threes than there are going left. We're not talking about that. We're literally talking about an even playing field where everybody has the same options available to them. Okay, you're just choosing not to play this way. And I understand if that's not what you want to do, but you can't put another person down because they play a way that you're not willing to.
And the key is willing to, right? Because Here's how it works in fighting games. This is literally how it works. And I'm saying this because it applies directly to 2K. Somebody does something to you and you go, and throughout the match, you're like, I don't know how to stop this. Then you go into training mode either by yourself with a friend and you repeat that action and you explore every option. How do you stop this? Does this button work? No. Does that button work? No. Mm-hmm. Backdash, jump. What works? What gets me out of this? And then you figure it out. And then you go online, somebody tries it, you body them, and you don't have to deal with that tactic anymore. It is effectively out of the game for you. Yep. Right? You have to become your enemy to beat your enemy. You can't say, well, my enemy uses high kicks, and I think high kicks are dumb. So,
you're right. So I'm just going to keep getting kicked in the head, or every time somebody kicks me in the head, I'm going to
kick in my head, and I'm going to cry to the commission and go online and complain about it. Listen, I'm not friendly when it comes to the competition thing because it's really like, it's unpleasant to lose. It's unpleasant to spend money in a tournament and go and get your butt beat over and over until you overcome somebody. That's a trial by fire. Yeah. Right. And so I'm gonna take the politically correct hat off for a minute. Just stop. Y'all sound like a bunch of scrubby bitches, man. Like, I'm just not trying to hear it. Yeah. If you don't like it, then stop playing online. Yeah. Just play your friends.
Yeah.
But when you go online, you have to win at all costs.
You got to
And
win, man.
when you become a great player who has gone through the cheese, you are better equipped to help 2K make a better game. If you're sitting behind the wall of cheese where all the scrubs are, they also have people that are on the other side that are highly competitive that look at tactics that you're complaining about and saying that's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
And so when they look at their high level competition, if it's not a problem at the highest level of competition, the problem is with you. It doesn't mean that the game can't be improved in that aspect. But in order for you to get there, you have to improve first. That's a
Yes.
life lesson. The world changes with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's really like it really is, because it's like you can't criticize a process until you've tried it and tried to work in and around it and found it to be. It's like your supervisor gives you a directive, and from the beginning you listen to it and you're like, this sucks, I don't think it works, I think it's whatever, but you haven't even tried it yourself to find out whether or not it's effective or not. You just don't like the way it sounds or feels, and so you don't know if it's you can't devalue it because you haven't explored whether or not there's something in the process, like Books is saying, that makes it ineffective. Because here's the thing: if you want people to stop off balling, because people off ball to win the game, but if they never win when they off ball, they'll stop.
And if they don't stop, just enjoy the victory. See,
Right.
and this is the thing. I see this a lot too. They go, yeah, I beat the guy, but he just kept on doing it. This is what it's like fighting a scrub, right? So the
Yeah.
first kind of scrub is the person who never learns how to play the game. The next kind of scrub is the person who only learns one thing, and they're going to do that thing no matter what. We call those guys dummies, right? Literally. We say
Right.
he's playing dumb, right? And you'll look at him and he might have an okay record because there are more scrubs than
Right.
there are dummies,
Yeah.
right? So he'll have a 55, 60% record,
Right.
but you mow through that guy because you say, I know what you're doing, I'm going to beat it, and you're not going to change because you have stopped learning as soon as you stop being a total scrub. You became just a dummy.
Right.
The next person above the dummy is the person who is in the early form of competitive play. The person who does change their tactics, but they just don't execute it at a high level. You have to move up this ladder. You know what I'm saying? And stop being a scrubby little bitch. I'm not interested in what losers say. Like, if you have a
Yeah.
losing record in any video game, I don't care about your opinion. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but there are other people who've been through the trial by fire that have seen it from both sides that we can discuss it. I'm not saying you're wrong about the problems in the game. I'm just saying I can't trust losers. I can't trust scrubs. I can only trust people who have taken it upon themselves to figure out what's necessary to be competitive. And if what's necessary to be competitive is bad for the game, let's have a conversation. But if all you do is lose and get your butt kicked by the most basic of exploit cheesy tactics, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck with what you're doing. I've given you the answer to change your situation. You now have what you need to change your station in life. Go on and do it. Otherwise, stop bothering us with this scrubby bullshit. Good luck.
Yeah, it's just gonna be real tough, man. It's gonna be. I mean, it's like I heard Andre Ward say one day. He was like, because Carl Froch was being, he fought Carl Froch. He beat Carl Froch pretty easily. And Carl Froch was like, I just don't like his style. I have a problem with it. He was like, I didn't even like Muhammad Ali's style. I don't like a backwards moving fighting style. And Andre Ward said, it's very interesting. People have a problem with the styles that they haven't figured out how to defeat yet.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what this is. You haven't figured out how to beat off-ball defense. So you don't like it because it beats you every time. And it was almost the same thing with 5-out, in Pro-Am. People, they weren't stopping it, so, and they were you heard the most complaints about 5-out after somebody got torched.
Now here's I think 5-out's a great example. And I'm talking about Pro-Am also.
Right.
5 out became the complete and total meta at the highest competitive level.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could take that data and say, these are the best players in the game. They know all the dribble moves.
Mm-hmm.
They switch on defense. They communicate. They hit their shots. And they've all, as a community, decided the meta, most effective tactics available. And that is 5 out. Now, 2K, here is what is preventing us from defending 5 out. It's on you to decide how to rebalance your game accordingly. Because as the competitive community, it is hard data now. It's not opinion, right? Everybody who wins does 5 out. Everybody who doesn't do 5 out loses. That's hard data. So now, if you complain about it, you can point to actual hard data and say this is a problem. And you can analyze why it's an issue. Now, it's worth saying that 5 out is effective in real life. So it is what it is. The problem is if it's the only effective thing, why aren't other things effective? Because styles make fights. And if you only have one style of play, then the game
it's dull,
then you get the game needs to be rebalanced. So that the 5 out thing is actually an example of the community putting in the work with 5 out and with other styles to where 2K can actually look at that and rebalance their game. Not to take 5 out of the game, because if the Milwaukee Bucks are doing it and they're number 1 in the league,
you should be able to do it in 2K.
Right. It's an unfortunate reality of the dimensions of the basketball court.
Yeah. And if you just don't like it. I mean, like a lot of people didn't like Memphis grit and grind because they felt it was boring style. But
100%. Well, and they changed the rules.
Yeah.
But they didn't like it either.
Yeah.
Right?
So
they didn't like Detroit versus the Knicks, so they changed the rules.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. But that's the way it has to go. But I just felt that was interesting because we had a kind of a big debate about it on Twitter. And I readily tell people I will play off-ball defense. I mean, it really just depends on the matchups. You know, if I'm playing against a guy, you know, or somebody who is extremely skilled dribbling wise, and they have control of a player who can do all of these different moves as well, on top of the fact that they have the stick command that they have with dribbling, I am going to switch back and forth between off ball and on ball against that person to try to disturb that rhythm on every possession. That's what I'm going to try to do. And I'm going to try to help off of the worst shooter on the floor, unless, because that's basketball.
And here's the thing. You don't have the tools in the game to intelligently tell your computer player, hey, I want you to help and bait off of the worst shooter on their team. Right. They're not going to come up and fake like they're guarding and then rush back to their man. They're not going to, run up for a harsh double team, but rotate to the most obvious shooter.
I got to do that.
You have to do that. And that's the highest level of one-on-one 2K play is when you're rotating in a way that's creating mind games. But look, man, I know a lot of guys in Sim Nation have like some feelings about, off-ball stuff. And unless you guys are at NYC the Futures level, not complaints. No offense. Like, I love you guys as, people. But when it comes to the competitive aspect, I'm telling you right now, there's nothing in 2K that's worse than X Factor Level 3 Virgil and Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So I don't want to hear it. Y'all are not facing the worst cheese available in competitive games. Like, y'all really need to embrace this and get through it if you want your game to get better. I'm not saying the game is perfect. I'm not saying that you have all the tools to play a perfect sim game. I'm saying that if you want that, you have to budge. You have to get these religious ideas about what 2K is supposed to be out of your head and embrace the reality and start winning.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's the competitive guys. It's really not. It's that middle tier, right? It's that middle tier or lower tier, like you're saying, because when I say competitive, I just mean people who play online. Yeah, because it's definitely not the elite players, because the elite players don't complain. No. Because the elite players' mindset is geared into the meta. What is the meta? How do I win? How do I win? How do I win? And that's what they're interested in. So I think it's definitely an interesting discussion. It'll be interesting to see what type of comments we get for this particular video, this segment.
I'm sure they ain't gonna like. Since there's some people that ain't gonna like this one. You know.
Yeah, I believe it.
I might get some unfollows today.
Yeah.
But listen. Here's the thing, though. I'm trying to give you what you want. I'm trying to give you the power to improve 2K as a game. Unfortunately, like many things in life, the thing that you want is on the other side of a thorny bush of discomfort. You got to go through the haunted forest in order to get to the princess in the castle. That's just how it works. And the haunted forest in this case is everything that you consider cheese and exploits and dishonorable tactics. We're not talking about stuff like pausing the game.
Yeah, that's crap.
Or Ethernet cable. We're talking about stuff inside the dimensions of the design of the game.
Yes.
If something inside the dimensions of the design of the game bothers you, learn it, adapt to it, and then from the perspective of a person who knows it inside and out, knows it from the perspective of someone who can do it, who can beat it, and who knew what it was like to not be able to beat it, knows what the game looks like at a high level when everybody knows how to deal with it, then say, here's what's causing that problem. Because often, it's actually a very technical thing in the game. 2K, let me tell you a secret about 2K. They're not filled with a whole bunch of competitive esports tournament guys. There's a few, but a lot of these guys are game designers who are specialists in various areas, right? Mm-hmm. So there's something in some guy's area that's causing you a problem. And that might be a very specific, very technical thing.
It's Steve, the rebound guy, remember?
Steve, the rebound guy. He's the worst. Steve! God!
Steve.
So it's worse than Derrick Rose's doctor.
Oh,
but
see, it happened again. It happened again. It happened again. Out of nowhere. It happened. Like, I don't know why that had to happen. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. We don't have to do it.
I think we beat them up enough, though, guys. Guys, seriously, I'm trying to help you guys out. This is not me saying you're wrong or you're liars or you're crazy or whatever, but
it is kind of, but it's okay.
This is how you deal with it. You got to become part of the hardcore competitive community so that you can properly be an asset.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, man. It's just ridiculous. The things that, like I said, the things that people try to put on us, man. It's just like it's just crazy. So, you were talking a lot about fighting games,